Imagine you go on a first date with someone. This someone shows up on time, makes you laugh, listen more than they talk, and it's generally just a good vibe. So much so that you walk away thinking, wow, this could actually go somewhere. Now imagine another scenario where this person showed up late, barely asked about you, mostly just went on about how special they are, and made almost no effort to connect with you. Even if they text you later, the vibe's already off, and you find that you're not exactly racing to see them again. If you're a social human living on this earth, you know that this is where a lot of talking stages go to die. Now let's extrapolate this to a brand-customer relationship. That meet-cute / first date is your welcome flow. Someone literally just gave you their email. What you say and do right after determines whether they stick around long enough for you to be profitable or they ghost you forever. Too many brand owners and marketers treat the welcome flow like another checkbox on their list. They'll slap on a couple discounted emails and product displays and call it a day. Or even worse, skip it all together because they heard somewhere that Klaviyo just over-attributes everything anyway. And honestly, that part is fair. There is bound to be inflated attribution when you're using pop-ups to collect emails and auto-triggering flows right after the sign-up. But here's the thing. Just because attribution is inflated doesn't mean the flow itself isn't actually doing real work. A proper welcome flow builds the kind of trust, rapport, and positioning that makes everything else you send more effective later. And yes, to a certain extent, it does create revenue too. Just maybe not the exact amount Klaviyo tells you it does. So instead of chasing pixel perfect attribution, smart businesses use the welcome flow as the ultimate first impression engine that ultimately sets a good foundation for healthy customer retention. And that's exactly what I'm going to go through deeply in this video. Let's get to it. Alright, so introduction to the welcome email flow. We've already gone through what it's like and why it's important, but we'll still dive deeper into it. So I guess the question now is, what is a welcome email flow? In case you don't know, a welcome email flow is basically a set of carefully crafted emails designed to engage new subscribers right from the start of their relationship with you or your brand. It introduces your brand, sets expectations, and begins building a meaningful relationship that encourages customers to stay connected and take desired actions. You don't necessarily have to have all of that stored in your head. You just have to focus on 3 main goals. The first goal is your welcome email flow should be a set of content or emails that actually build a solid first impression and trust with your customer. Secondly, it has to set expectations and position your brand as a solution to their problems. And then thirdly, it has to actually convert the customer, because what's the point of you setting all of this up? What's the point of designing everything? What is the point really of writing out content if not, or starting out a business or going into marketing if not to convert the customer itself? So I said convert the customer with integrity. When I say with integrity, it's important that you convince the customer to want to purchase from you because they like you or because they see that they are genuinely convinced that your solution is the solution they need to their problem. Not because you are offering them discounts, not because you try to play tricks of urgency on them and all of that. All of those things eventually lead to a customer that just purchases once and they are done with you completely, or they don't repeat their purchases as much as you want them to. And you have to remember that the whole point of customer retention marketing is to increase the lifetime value of each and every customer, the average lifetime value of each and every customer that is in relationship with you, so to speak. So you can see a dashboard here. We already have a dashboard here of a welcome flow doing its thing in its natural habitat. This is for a brand with over 100,000 active email profiles, and you can see it's a very latest screenshot, recent screenshot, sorry. So common mistakes that brands make: they send only one email in their entire flow. You don't want to do that because you're leaving a lot of money on the table by doing that. You're not building rapport with just one email. You can't just supply all the information you want to supply a customer to build rapport and to set the foundation for a good retention and lifetime value through just one email. That just doesn't do anything. You focus on only the discount. Focusing on only the discount is a bad idea because the discount is not necessarily the main reason why they signed up. right? It looks like it's the discount that was the incentive that drew them to sign up, but really it's because of the problem they have, which you solve. So focusing only on discount, having email 1, email 2 down to email 5, just hammering on a discount and how they should make use of the discount is pointless. It doesn't actually do anything. And even if they do take the discount and buy the product, they realize that there's no rapport. You realize that there's no rapport built between both of you. There's no emotional investment with their relationship with you. It's just based off of, oh, they wanted to take advantage of you. So you don't want to do that. Also, zero personalization causes the email to stand generic, like just a setup. And of that, you want to add some form of personalization, say their names or state out their specific problems. This also ties into segmentation. You want to start segmenting at the point where you start having 5,000 to 2,000, 2,500, 2,500 to 5,000 email signups per week, and about 50 to 100k plus active email profiles. You have to start segmenting in your emails, within your email flows, based off of certain problems. And especially if you have multiple SKUs, you want to start segmenting based off of specific problems that those specific SKUs. One of the problems and mistakes that brands make is they are not leveraging the customer psychology at this stage. You just sort of like blast out the same generic content for customer 1 to customer 2 and to customer 100, right? There's a certain psychology that the customer is at this moment, and I like to work from the customer psychology because people, they might be presented with all the facts and everything, but when it comes down to actually taking out money from their pocket to actually buying and purchasing that final taking that final step of purchasing, they do that purely with emotion and how they are feeling, right? So you want to leverage the customer psychology. Your copy has to leverage the customer psychology, the things that the customer is thinking, the pain points the customer has, the desires the customer has, things like that. You want to really dig into them, their possible objections, and we'll go through them in this video. So your common mistakes that brands make, the final common mistake I see brands make is they prefer sending email templates rather than actually doing research of their ideal customer and actually sending out things structured in a way that the ideal customer would potentially convert at the highest, right? And this comes down to a lot of A/B testing. Really, it's a lot of A/B testing that will direct you to the structure that tends to work best for a specific brand. But yeah, basically what I'm saying, that email templates don't actually work, or copying generic flow structures off the internet. A successful, robust, welcome email flow avoids these pitfalls by delivering personalized, value-driven content that resonates with the subscribers' interests and behaviors and their location in the funnel. Emphasis on that. This sets the stage for higher engagement and long-term loyalty, which is the whole goal of retention marketing. So the flow strategy and structure breakdown. A successful welcome email flow typically consists of 5 to 7 touch points. Minimum that gradually introduces the brand story, highlights key benefits, and provides value at a specific right time without overwhelming the subscriber. I say specific right time because you don't want to send the social proof when they are actually curious about what is in it for them. You don't want to send a category showcase or a bestseller spotlight email when they are actually worried that you don't have heavy credibility and all of that. So each and every one of these email, they are stacked in such a way that they support each other, they complement each other, depending on the time they go out and depending on the content that it's in depth, right? But before we dive into the strategy itself, we look at the customer's mood. The customer's mood right now is they are curious, they are cautious, right? They are seeking value, they are skeptical of how hype, they are price sensitive, spam and noise aware. To go deeper into the customer's mindset, we look at where they are sitting in the holistic funnel. They are currently aware of the problem, they are aware of the solution, which we call problem and solution aware. They are thinking, oh, this brand might fix an issue, this brand might actually fix whatever issue I'm going through. Say I don't have a good style in my wardrobe, or I don't have that much clothes, right? There's some form of desire or pain point, so to speak, that the brand has solution for, and they are thinking this brand might actually help. Um, Evidence that they're thinking like that is obvious in the fact that they clicked your ad, they came to your website in the first place, and they read your blog, and they eventually signed up. So they're also thinking, they're considering you, they are comparing you with other brands. You need to understand that. So is it truly better than other alternatives that I've been using, or this alternative that I see? They're comparing your specs. Another thing is, they're thinking the fact that they committed by actually signing up their email, gives you a strong high intent that they want to purchase. So their mindset is typically, oh, I'll exchange my inbox for a info or more perks on the brand and stuff like that. So you want to leverage this mindset right now as soon as possible at this early stage, the relationship with you, to drive purchases, not just one but multiple, even at this early stage. So you can see this is the breakdown of their likely brand perceptions, which I mentioned earlier. Possible objections they might have, and just so you know, I would be linking this doc below in the YouTube description of this video, so you can just go download it or go read it and apply it for to the setup of your welcome flows, right? So you want to revamp the ones you have, or you're just building it out for the first time. All right, so possible objections that the customers might have, or roadblocks in their decision making that we need to tackle. We need to also highlight all of those, and you can see I highlighted most of it. Oh, can I trust these people? The root cause of that is because they are thinking, oh, maybe you're a new brand, or they are scared of brands that have scammed them in the past and stuff like that. They're thinking, is this product as good as the ads claim? Will it work for my specific situation, my specific customers? They are thinking, oh, will it work for my specific situation and problem? They are thinking, oh, is the price worth it? Is the ROI worth it? They're also having sort of like a fear of bias removes, but before the purchase and stuff like that. So a lot of things they have in mind. I'm not going to go through everything initially, but all of this is what your welcome flow should tackle and have a same mechanism for, so to speak. So diving into the emails themselves, one thing before I dive into the emails to note is that it's always best to structure your emails by sections, so you know how each section marries the other section and how they sort of like complement each other to work out into a very strong, compelling email. So the first email is typically a welcome email with an incentive fulfillment. I say incentive fulfillment rather than discount fulfillment because some brands will not all brands have to send discounts as an incentive for people to sign up. So you could send free shipping and whatnot, right? So I call it the welcome plus incentive fulfillment. In this email, typically you find that in the way I structure emails, typically you find that there's an above the fold, there's a copy section, there's a mid section, and then maybe multiple other mid showcase section, and then a footer section. I'll go through everything and how and why every element in this section is. So section number 1, we have the above the fold. As usual, you want to have your brand logo here, so it's going to serve as a very strong identifier of your brand. And then you want to have a header here saying welcome to so, whether it's a mention of your brand name or mention of a particular prominent benefits in the minds of your customers, right? And then you want to add a subheading that is very contextual to the heading. And then you want to also add a contextual. So I say contextual because it's not just enough to write shop now in your CTA buttons. You want to actually marry them into whatever it is that you're writing. You need to think of the header and the subheader. You need to think of the header and the subheader and the CTA all together as one long paragraph of copy, or sentences string together to make one strong paragraph, rather than disjoint wordings or disjoint copies that just have to be written and all of that. So I'd recommend you structure it like this, but initially have them marry each other. Let the subheading copy be contextual to the heading copy. Let the CTA copy be contextual to the subheading and heading copy. Things like that. Work it on. And then the next block in this email is a copy block. You want to write 2 to 3 paragraphs warmly welcoming the subscriber, highlighting the core brand benefits and directing them to the offer. No fluff whatsoever. That's where you show the discount code and the contextuality. Now, concerning the discount code, you could show the discount code also in the above the fold, but it depends on whether your discount code is a static or dynamic discount code. If you're using a static discount code, meaning the same discount code goes out to every subscriber, you can easily edit it into the above the fold so that they sort of like see it right off the bat when they sign up. But say it's a dynamic discount code, you can now sort of like put it here, but make sure the link of the above the fold has the code itself embedded so that when they click the contextuality, the code is implemented straight away at checkout when you get to checkout. Now, this third section in the email, number 1, you want to put is a brand mission plus benefit stack block. Basically, the header will summarize the brand value or mission summary. There will be 2 to 3 sentences here talking about the brand mission, the purpose, the values of your brand, what your brand stands for, highlighting your brand's unique selling proposition, so to speak, and differentiator, right? Then after that, you want to stack benefits upon benefits, right? The core brand product benefits or core brand features, you want to stack them with images. You don't necessarily have to do them diagonally like this, but this is just like a showcase of how they could be. You could do them vertically, you could do them horizontally, and then add a contextual CTA, right? So a welcome copy plus above the fold welcome copy marrying into a brand mission but plus benefit stack works wonders. At this point of the email, which is like section 4, you want to showcase products, your bestseller, so to speak. So have a section heading that ushers the bestsellers showcase in, and have 2 to 3 optional sentences. You don't necessarily have to have those sentences, but you could put sentences there that sort of like lead into the products themselves, and then show some products. 4 is okay because you don't want to overwhelm them. So highlight your 4 top performing products here and you're good. And then add a contextual CTA at the bottom. Now, for the footer, I won't always go through the footer and how it's structured for every email in this video, but let's just break it down. The footer should ideally have brand feature chips. When I say brand feature chips, that you notice that some brands say on their website or in their emails, they write something having to do with like, they write a small header with the wordings as seen in or as featured in. So if your brand has been featured in, say, very notable platforms, you want to showcase that, you want to really boast of that credibility and that borrow that authority, so to speak. So say Forbes, in Business Insider, those logos, you want to put them here as chips. So if you have unique value propositions, also you want to, when I say unique value propositions, I mean delivery in 13 days, fast delivery, right? The things that they stand to get from actually buying things from you over time. So you want to stack them here. Also, you also want to stack brand trust chips. Also, if you have chips that are just tailored towards trust. So your footer section has to be set down. It's important that you don't put your navigation links on the header of your email because that's just distracting. You want them to be directed to the one CTA, the one goal of the email initially. And then if the one goal of the email does not serve them, that is when they should now have the option to come to the footer and decide whether, depending on the navigation links that are here, right? So this is typically how your footer should be sectioned. You can interchange between these, maybe show the feature and the UVP chips for one email, and then show the UVP chips and the trust chips for another email, things like that. But this is ideally how your footer section of all your emails should be structured. Now for the email 2 in the flow sequence, you want to talk about the brand story. This is where you start building stronger rapport and then highlight some unique value propositions. How do you do that? You want to have a header. You want to ideally have the client write this email. If the client can't write the email, you want to write it on behalf of them. So the header will sort of like have maybe a behind the scene photo or tying the founder's story to to the customer outcome and stuff like that. And then the contextuality, maybe just shop now will work. And then the section 2 of the email, as usual, you want to have a copy block, maybe 1 to 4 short paragraphs in first person, of course, either from founder or CEO or marketing lead. So that 1 to 4 short paragraphs will go through the brand story, the brand origin, and then the unique value propositions, right? And then finally, you want to merge in a light reminder of their exclusive welcome code. You want to weave it into the copy naturally. That was why I said light reminder of exclusive welcome code woven in naturally. Same thing as the first email, show the discount code and show a contextuality. And then write a signature here of the brand owner, whoever you say has written the email and stuff. All right, so the second section of the email starts with, of course, a copy block like the previous email. 1 to 4 short paragraphs in first person, of course, either from the founder or CEO or marketing lead. A light reminder of the exclusive welcome discount code woven in naturally at the end of the run through the brand story. I'd recommend you make this short, but it can go, if it were to be long, make it at most 4 paragraphs, so to speak. At the bottom of this, you want to add the discount code they've gotten, and the contextuality, right? So we are currently in the second email. You also want to talk about the discount code here, in case they missed it in the first email. The third section of this email, this is where you want to talk about the brand mission, because the story of the brand is different from the brand mission itself. So you want to talk about the brand mission, what you aim to achieve with the brand, what the driver of the entire brand, the entire brand's existence really is. So the section will have a heading, 1-line bold claim that reinforces what sets your brand apart, a product image with sort of like a 3 stacked upon each other unique value proposition, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be designed like this. Like I said, it just has to have this properties embedded in the email. And then for the fourth part of this email, I'd recommend you have a social proof, right? Write out a social proof. And when I say social proof, I mean customer reviews or UGCs or testimonials, right? So you want to showcase at least just one social proof here at this fourth section of the email, then finish up with a footer. Email number 3, you want to go for email number 3, at this point you want to showcase a certain product collection, right? Say you have many USPs, you want to showcase your collection and categories here. If you have just 1 or 2 USPs, you just want to showcase those products here. Like so the above the food will have like a benefit oriented header, a subheading that's contextual to that, and a contextuality, goes without saying. And then a copy block, 1 to 4 short paragraphs introducing the products, right? Specifically introducing the product line or the category collection line of the products you have to showcase your customers. And then section 3, that's where you start showcasing the categories and the collections themselves. You have a section heading, 2 to 3 optional sentences just to usher those products in, and then blah blah blah, right? Stack your product collections upon each other or product categories upon each other. The perfect section to marry a showcase of your categories and collection showcase would be something like a bestseller showcase. This will make it easier for them to choose, right? Say they look at your categories, your collections, they don't know exactly where to start from. This will help make it easier for them to know where to start from, right? The whole point of email number 3 is to make it easier for them to choose where to start from. Say if they feel overwhelmed by a lot of content or your product, this email is there to overcome that possible problem. So this email number 3, the product and collection showcase, is going to have a category and collection showcase part embedded the email, which leads them to certain categories that interest them, right? Makes their decision easier. And if they still can't decide based off your collection and category showcase, you also want to have a bestseller showcase in this email, right? Every section of this email is just reinforcing the need to make that first purchase and how best to reach that finish line, so to speak. Email number 4, this is where you want to start employing social proof. When I say heavy social proof, right? Every customer reviews, every UGCs and stuff like that. Email number, the first section of the email, you have to have a header with copy emphasizing real outcomes, right? You want to have outcome specific copy in this email, so to speak, the thing they get or the thing they become after using your product. You want to have this optional subheader here also, and a contextual CTA, a typical structure of an above the fold. By the way, an above the fold always has a product or lifestyle photo showcase behind here, right? So that goes without saying, but this is not a design class, so this is just purely content, right? So for the second section of this email, you want to write the copy, right? Make your copy writing here conversational and very, very outcome focused, like what they get, and leading into like, oh, certain people have gotten this same outcome and stuff like social proof, customer reviews, kind of insinuating copy, if you know what I mean. And then a contextual CTA. Now for the third section of this email, you want to have a before after highlight, a very strong one. Basically like a micro case study of someone that got transformed by your product or sets of products and stuff like that. You want to have that highlighted here. Then the fourth section, you want to map out certain stronger customer reviews, just stack them upon each other. This works a ton. This is an email that usually converts a ton of those skeptical customers, right, that in your funnel right now, because when they see other people are doing certain things, other people are raving about your brand, so basically you're leveraging other people's voice, other people's words, so to speak, to get people to be convinced. And that works a ton because of the psychology of keeping up with the Joneses. Since other people are using it, I'm going to use it too. It must work for me also, so to speak. And then section 5 is just the footer. Email number 5, this way, at this point, you just want to remind the customer of their discount, right? Because just to give you a quick overview, email number 1, we already delivered the incentive and welcome the brand. Email number 2, we share the origin story, mission, and values. Email number 3, we guided them to their needs through category and collection showcase. Email number 4, we showcase social proof, reviews, UGC, press, endorsement as much as we could. And then email number 5, we want to showcase, remind them of the discount. Now you can see that in this place, it's sort of like split into 7. It can, email number 6 and email number 7. Email number 6 as certain spotlight, right? You spotlight a certain category or a certain collection or a certain one product bestseller, right? This typically works for brands who have like high performing products that sort of like overshadows every other SKUs they have. But in a case whereby it doesn't really work for you to have an extra email just to showcase to spotlight one main product and stuff like that, that's where you can now marry email number 6 with email number 7. And how so? You marry it in such that the FAQs will be merged with a discount reminder, or merged with the final discount reminder, so to speak. So each and every element in these emails are structured in such a way to trigger an emotional buy, a compelling emotional response from your customer, so to speak. That is the whole point of all of this structure and all of that. So going back to email number 5, I think. So we just have to remind the discount here for those of the subscribers that have probably forgotten that they have a discount available. Email number 5 will probably go out on the 5th day or 7th day if you were to put 2 days in between or so, or maybe one day in between or something. So email number 5 it's typically just going to be a simple reminder, a header of reminding them of their incentive, a subheader optional, and then a copy block also highlighting that they are about to miss out on an incentive. Not necessarily using a formal language of like, oh, your incentive is about to expire, you don't need it here. You just want to nudge them. It's a simple nudge, right? So it's simple conversations and sentences reminding them, discount code showcase, contextual CTAs, and the bestseller showcase again. Some people will not open this email, right? So that's why there is a final discount reminder email. But one thing I also recommend to add to this email is an FAQ section. Some people will open this email, but they just have questions. They're not concerned about your discount. They're not concerned about your bestsellers. They just have questions that you've not answered. This is where you want to answer the question. FAQ section, put in a few strong questions there and answer them. Email number 6 is where you're now going with the final discount reminder. I recommend making this email a plain final discount reminder, a plain FOMO urgency infused email, right? Hey, your discount's about to expire in 24 hours or in 2 hours or in 4 hours. That simple FOMO triggering language it has been proven to convert a ton of customers that might be skeptical still with every information that we've provided them, right? So you want to use object-based reminder copy, a contextual subheader to that. Even the copy block should have urgent-based copy to it, discount code, contextual CTA, and then of course the bestseller showcase also to give them an option or something to choose from or something to buy if they eventually get convinced and all of that. Now, in terms of setting all of this up in your ESP, email service provider, it's pretty straightforward because it's just a welcome flow. But in this video, I'm going to set it all up in Klaviyo and sort of like run it through you. It's not something that's that complex or hard to do, but for the sake of people who are watching this video right now and have not done it before, that is the main reason why we'll be building this out here. And if you're using any of the major ESPs, to run your email marketing, it's going to be very similar to how it's done in Klaviyo. There are two ways to do. You can either build it out your own way, right, from scratch, or just build it out through a template. Klaviyo has a few templates created in for flows here. I would recommend you start with the Welcome Series standard. Find it, click on it, and you be faced with this pop-up. And this pop-up, it's going to ask you a few questions. The trigger, what it means by trigger is you have to select a certain list where by whoever gets into that list will automatically trigger this flow. Now you have to be careful. The list you want to select, it's not just anyhow list. It has to be the exact list that your subscribers, after signing up to your form, will get into. Right, so whatever list that your form is currently pointing to is where you want to also trigger your welcome flow for. So right now we're just going to trigger it for the newsletter list because that's the list for this demo account that's connected to a form. So we're going to use template. All right, so a few things, like we already know we have to set up like 6 emails, so I'd recommend you just sort of like drag the email elements in. And then there's one thing that Klaviyo does on default to emails. It sets a smart sending option automatically on every email you drag out from here, or default email sections. So what you want to do is you want to turn it off. We're going to be careful to turn it off for important emails that must go out, regardless of if a subscriber has gotten an email from you within the last 16 hours, right? So what this does is it skips anyone who has received an email within the last 16 hours. So you don't want it to skip sending for your email number 1. There are some crucial emails here you don't want it to skip sending for. I wouldn't recommend you also ask it to skip sending for email number 2 either, down to email number 4, so to speak, right? So I usually turn it off for 1 through 4, for emails 1 through 4. And then for email number 5 and number 6, that's where we typically have if you remember, we have the discount reminder and the final discount reminder. I'm fine to leave it as keep recently emailed for first because these are very salesy emails. We don't want to send them out to someone who has just received an email from us within the last 16 hours to avoid quick unsubscribes and stuff like that. So I'll leave this one to smart sending. Also, in terms of like segmentation, right, technical segmentation of these particular emails, I would also add filters to prevent these discount emails from going out to someone who has gotten into this flow and at some point made a purchase, right? You don't want to keep berating them with a discount if they've already sort of like made a purchase. Typically what that's going to do is just going to piss them off and then they will subscribe. So it's always best practice to add a filter, what someone has done or not done, placed order 0 times, right? So basically the reason why I choose 0 times of at least once is basically you're essentially saying that whatever someone has done or done, if it's placed order, if they've placed order 0 times since starting this flow, that is when you should send out this email to them, right? So whoever is passing through this funnel down here, you have to check them. Have they placed order 0 times since starting this flow? Yes, they've placed order 0 times. Start this flow, send them an email. No, they've not. Then don't send them an email, right? So that's why you pick place order 0 times starting this flow. It's also going to be the same for email number 5. Of course, I've not forgotten also, don't forget your time delays. Very, very important. Ideally, what the time I usually advise is within 1 to 2 days, because as you can see here, if you noticed, I built this out in form of like a hue, and I think I mentioned earlier that starting from email number 1 to email number 7 of the sequence, the customers, their buying intent decreases as they go through each email. So you want to as their buying intent increases as each email delivers to their inbox and as time goes by, right? You will not always stay on top of mind. So I would say 1 to 2 days is the sweet spot. That's what I typically do, and that's what I would recommend you do. A/B testing is what's going to determine the exact sweet spot for your specific brand. So I recommend you also A/B test that, and don't just leave it to chance or take my word for it. So I'm going to keep cloning this around each email. Concerning the time of the day also, I wouldn't recommend you put it. I'd recommend you actually clear it. And then A/B test the one that works. So as soon as they get added to the newsletter, they get an email, and then it's in 1 day buffer to email 2, email 3, email 4, email 5, email 6. And now the next point I think is email conventions. Naming conventions. You always want to name your emails according to the strategy that it serves as, because of times when you start doing, say, maybe you have to do an autopsy or sort of like investigate a certain customer that's used discount twice. You would want to know the exact email they received before they used a certain discount. And you can, if you have any imagination in your head right now, you can already imagine how hectic it can be when you see their history, and all you can see is just email 1, email 2, email 3, email 4, email 5, and it's not easy for you to, like, you don't know how to track down which specific flow email is that, right? I hope that makes sense. But basically, naming conventions is very, very important across campaigns and across flow emails. All right, so we're done on that. So yes, that's pretty much it. Set your emails in, set the interval between each emails, and then put your naming conventions. So then all you just have to do is, of course, edit the emails and go into the template and all of that. But this is pretty much all it takes to build out a welcome flow technically. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You don't have to complicate things, just follow through from the customer's perception of your brand. Use the exact strategies that have been mentioned in this video. Make sure you do your research very well before you dive into writing any emails at all. It's not necessary. The attributable revenue of the flow itself is not really necessary. It's the foundation that you're setting, the rapport that you're building right off the bat with the customer. That's what's going to set a strong ground for you eventually converting the highest lifetime value, or getting the highest lifetime value from each of your customers, right? So that's the whole point of setting up the welcome flow. But if you, so these are examples of welcome flow that we have live running for partners right now. As you can see, it's typically going to be the flow that drives the most revenue. By the time you trace the attribution, you probably notice also that it's not totally accurate, but that's not the point, like I said. So yes, that's pretty much it. I hope I've shared value with you in this video, and I hope you actually implement it and it works for you, right? This is what we've used to scale retention for tons of brand 8 to 9 figure brands that we've worked with, and I hope it works for you also. In fact, it will definitely work. The only thing is that you won't just have to set this and forget it. As you can see, you have to start running A/B tests over time. You're going to have to run A/B tests over time to optimize the flows as they go. Right? It's important that you continually run A/B tests every month or every 2 months or so. This is how you keep your welcome flow at an optimal conversion rate. Right? So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching this video.